Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
And hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our co-host today is Jace LeJeune, our editor for Louisiana Football Magazine. Our Monday show, our topics today, I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're going to start out talking about LSU in this segment, the Ole Miss game. And then we're going to talk about, second segment, the coaching search at LSU, which I'm just going to give out my 2 cents on who the real candidates really are, and then the other back burner coaches. We're then going to talk about high schools across the state, some interesting games. Can't get to everybody, but some of the top games. We're also then going to talk about the state college scores in general, segment 5. And then also, and maybe in that same segment, we're going to talk about the NFL, Joe Montana Burrow.
Joey Cool.
Yeah, Joe Cool. And Jamar Chase. Wow.
Well, I know a lot of LSU fans are reminiscing about that connection right now.
Well, you know, there was lightning in the bottle for Ed Orgeron and Les Miles, but we know that the lightning in the bottle was Joe, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Moss, Clyde Edwards.
List goes on.
List on and on and on.
Joe Brady.
And what's really crazy is you got 2 starters back from that 19 team this year on the O-line. That's just mind-boggling. Ed Ingram and Douglas.
Imagine their LSU career when they look back about the highs. They experienced the highest of highs, and they experienced the lowest of the lows.
Well, kudos to them, too, because they came back.
They stuck it through the course.
And they got more education, though, Jace.
Yep.
Douglas got to go, I guess, work on a master's, and Ed got to get his degree. And hey, it's not all bad when you get your degree.
No.
You don't have to come back and get it.
There's life after football, after all.
Ed Ingram will be a starter in the NFL, is my prediction. Douglas will get a cup of coffee in the NFL camp. He just stays hurt, man. He's just got too many nagging and ankle injuries and this or that.
Yeah, it seems like it's every game he goes down once or twice.
Some guys just have injuries they just can't overcome. You know, they're just having to play through injuries. And I might be wrong, but I think Douglas will be like one of those practice squad guys, maybe a year, maybe.
Sure.
But Ingram, he'll be a guard, and he'll be with a great O-line in the NFL, and he'll stick out. He'll have a great future in the NFL. Let's go and talk about Ole Miss. Oh, I got a theory on the Ole Miss game.
It was Ole Miss's day. You just got to get credit for them. They played well. They had the Eli Manning's jersey retirement. Yeah. They had all that brewing for that game, so it was a great day for them to be an Ole Miss rebel on Saturday.
Yeah, they pulled out all the stops on LSU, but Matt Corral was hurt.
Yeah,
he didn't throw a lot on purpose because he's sore. I think he was hurt.
He was pretty much used as a decoy. That's pretty much all he was used as.
And what's upsetting to LSU fans is Ole Miss was beat up as a team and still beat LSU very handily. Now, I have a theory on this, Jace. You just let your coach go the week of basically practicing to get ready for Ole Miss. Now, the emotions with 18, 19, and 20-year-old kids is that you really have mixed emotions on what to do. And unfortunately, I think that had a lot to do with the mental state of these kids to go to Ole Miss and be in their psyche for our coach is leaving, whether they liked him or not. Some guys did, some didn't probably. I mean, that's just how it is in football. But they weren't mentally zoned in on this game, I don't think. And I think Gordy Rush said it good the other day on Cox Sports that the guys that were showing the effort were the freshmen.
Yeah, they were.
You know, Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors, Nussmeier.
Right.
You know,
Kiner was running pretty hard at the end.
Yeah, Kiner did good. I mean, the freshmen came in, and even Greg Penn played a lot
from
Maryland at linebacker.
That's the first time we saw him really this year.
I mean, it's like, why hasn't he played? But he's going to be a great player. He was the number 3 linebacker in the country out of DeMatha High School in Maryland and Baltimore anyway. There's some talent coming back. But my theory is if LSU wouldn't have had a coaching change and everything would have been rosy, I think LSU wins that one by 3 touchdowns. Instead, the game was over in the third quarter. They made it a game with Nussmeier.
Yeah, they made the change sooner. Who knows?
But the staff didn't even look like they were in a hurry to win it in the end.
No.
I mean, it looked like
some of the decisions at the beginning, they were up 7-0. They start off really good. They went first opening drive and went down the field.
You kicked that field goal.
Yeah, you kicked that field goal. No one went there at. If it was at the one yard line, yeah, go for it. But it was like up back at the 4 or 5. I think you take the points there, go up 2 possessions, get the points that you can, go up by 2 possessions. I believe them turn the football over on 4th and goal and not getting that really changed the game around.
I don't think that set well with LSU fans.
Mm-hmm.
To not get an easy field goal. Now, I don't understand if it was a 50-yard field goal.
Which they did try the kick with York.
Yeah, but just, man. But anyway, I think it was just a game you just forget about completely. It's not going to be an all-time classic on ESPN.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ole Miss is going to, win out. I really don't. They got
a tricky Auburn team that you don't know what you're going to get this week.
And I hope Corral's just bruised and not hurt, because
this was the perfect game for him just to
take off.
Yeah, because they were running the football on 3rd and 19 and picking them up, on those plays, on those draw plays, which was
it will go down as the worst
me.
Defensive team ever. I thought 20 was. But this is the worst defensive team. There was 3 3rd and longs in the first quarter that Ole Miss just had. There was holes like 8 foot wide.
Yeah, the thing about that, it's just things like that. Last year was just like a lot of miscommunication and, guys not communicating well. This is just I see really no effort with a lot of the first team guys.
Well, like I said, I think mentally they were zoned out.
Mm-hmm.
They're kids. They've been through a lot. They've heard a lot. It's hard to mentally get ready for Ole Miss when your coach is leaving. You don't know who's going to be the coach.
It could also, but at the same time, with making that announcement, it could also make things easier for them.
You would
think, with playing loose. Like, okay, now we know what's going on. We can start playing loose and not worry about everything.
But now I think they can flush it, because now the Alabama game, I'm going to say something really crazy. LSU's not beating Alabama.
No.
But I believe the first half at home, it'll be sold out because it's Bama. They're going to give Alabama a game because LSU's got talent.
Actually, it's going to be at Alabama this year.
I was trying to hope.
Yeah. We wish. But actually, if you look back in the years past, LSU has actually played better at Alabama than they played Alabama at home. So,
well, it won't be a game, obviously.
No.
But you know what? Maybe the first quarter.
I just want to see some effort. I mean, that's just the one thing
you'll see Nussmeier and Max. Max will keep start. Max was not the problem in Ole Miss. It was the whole team not even being ready to play again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But everybody likes to blame the quarterback when
there has to be a scapegoat, and unfortunately, it's Max. But
he does need to step his game up next year, throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah, he needs to be quicker too with a lot of his decisions
and not give up on his progression setting in the pocket.
Yeah, because he does bail out a lot, but playing with the offensive line, LSU's been really struggled up front. It really messes with your mindset as a quarterback, and it messes up your timing. Like, if my first read's not there, I have to get out the pocket.
But this Ole Miss game, I thought he gave up a lot of potential sets to set his feet and throw it. He really had more time than some of the other games.
Yeah,
he had his worst game.
Yeah, he did, and I think it's like imaginary pressure, Lee. When these with Max Johnson, if you play with an offensive line that like LSU that struggled, it just speeds up everything for you. And unfortunately, even though early on he had a pretty decent pocket, it's just that time clock in your head speeds up 2 times faster if your offensive line has been vulnerable this year.
Well, we don't even know if Ty Davis was sore from his big game. He could have been sore and not 100%. He didn't look 100% in that game.
No, he didn't. But he did run hard. I mean, I was pleased with his effort. I was really pleased with Damon Clark. I thought he played well.
19 tackles.
Yeah, he was all over the field. And a lot of people, have been, I guess, just like hating on Damon Clark. But I thought he's been one of the most improved players this year. He's had himself a really good season.
Whoever's not liking that kid this year doesn't know football.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Right.
I mean, they're still stuck on 220.
Yeah. Because he's been a different player. I think he can be a day 2 NFL draft pick.
I'm gonna go beyond that. I think he's day 1 when they test him.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw some stats on Damon Clark. When he signed with LSU, he was 6'3", 230, which is a man-child coming out of high school as a linebacker, ran a 4.5 40.
Yeah.
Right.
There was one play he chased Matt Corral down sideline to sideline, and that was pretty impressive.
Now he's 245, 6'3", still runs a 4.5 40. Now, Jace, the last time I checked, there's not many linebackers pushing 250 running 4.5 at 6'3", not 6 foot.
Right.
So when they test this kid, and they say, and then they burn the junior film, right? Because that was a learning session. That's
my only thing was that might set him back to a day 2.
But they see the light came on. Now he's chasing, he's reading, he's actually covering people in coverage now. He actually can cover. I remember Deion Jones couldn't cover anybody as a junior at LSU. Senior year, light came on, bam.
Right.
Now he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL in pass coverage.
Yep.
I don't forget. Deion, I remember when fans said, Deion can't cover anybody. I was like, he's only a junior. He's only starting to play. That was the Chavis days.
And the thing about that, too, was, like, Deion Jones, all those great linebackers, Devin White, they had a pretty good defense around them, so it makes them look even better.
Yeah.
And then when you're around a defense that's struggling and not, not really creating great effort, then that doesn't really stick out as much as if he was on the great defense.
I am disappointed in the defensive coaches for LSU. I think that was not a very good game plan during the game.
Well, you knew.
No adjustments again. They don't adjust.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to stay on that long.
Well, all I'm going to say is when you have a first-time defensive coordinator going against one of the best play callers there is, and Lane Kiffin, you knew that was going to be a mismatch from the start.
With a quarterback that wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss had 3 starters out at receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was kind of set up for LSU to pull it out.
Yeah, but their 3 running backs showed out.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to give my 2 cents on the coaching search, let Jace talk a little bit about it, but also going to mention some sponsors. Later in the show, we're going to talk about high school football around the state, some big games, North Louisiana, South Louisiana. We're going to have NFL talk late in the show with Burrow, the Bengals, and Jamar Chase.
There you go, LSU fans. They got something to cheer for right now.
I want to mention our boy Elijah Mitchell that I covered at ERAF High School. Man, congratulations to starting for the 49ers and looked really good.
Yeah, had over 100 yards rushing last night.
6th-round draft pick, now starter. I remember going to see Elijah at ERAF personally, and what he did at UL was amazing. And now, a little trivia, he came out the same year Clyde Edwards came out.
Yeah.
LSU did not recruit him.
No.
And LSU was like, there's no running back talent in the state.
Oh.
They went after the Mississippi kid that went to Florida State. They went after all these other players.
And that was also the same year with Etienne, too.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. With
Clyde. And Ragus.
Yep.
Who's in the NFL from UL.
Right. Yep.
So everybody, don't get caught up in these rankings and these sites because that's 5 running backs. 4 were not even ranked.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to be in the NFL. I mean, it's just don't people are too consumed with what they read. I guess it's the PC world we're in on believing, not believing. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll come back with more with the Sports Scouting Report. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our co-host today is Jace LeJeune, our editor. Be sure to go to our website if you're a mom or dad listening for the first time, or anybody. You can still get your preview magazine, North or South copy or digital, lafootballmagazine.com. That's lafootballmagazine.com. I want to go ahead and mention some sponsors and thank them. A new sponsor we have, Jace, is Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge, fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours. Located south of Lake Charles. Call 337-598-2357, or you can go to www.grossavon.com. An incredible experience. You need to do it if you have a son, you want to go as a dad-son trip, or your family, or just a business trip. They have lodging. I mean, it's incredible. They got chefs that feed you. Believe me, I went. I want to go back. I can't. I work too much. I can't go back. I want to go back soon. But then I also want to thank John Harvey Toyota. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru of Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. looking for a used or new car, tell them Lee sent you. They have 3 dealerships, 3 times the used or new vehicles. Also, I want to thank Trez and Care Tire Company, locally owned and operated by Devin Holly since 1971. Unbelievable place, man. They have every brand of every tire you can ever imagine, all changes. They do pickup and delivery. They're on Hooper Road and Park Place Drive in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. And also I want to thank Medine's Collision Center. It's the place you got to go to paint your car or truck, or if you have any body work you need done. Medine's Collision Center, owned by Chris and Dominica Medine. Great people. You want to give them a call, too, on Kincaid Avenue. Give them a call. I mean, I'm going to tell you that you won't meet better people than Medine's Collision Center, Jace. They're great folks. 357-7983 is the number to call, 357-7983. Let's talk about the coaching search. Everybody's having fun talking about it.
Everybody's throwing names out.
Yeah.
Making their Las Vegas bets.
Everybody has an in. And I do know some people in behind the scenes. I respect not to say certain things until you need to. I do think these are the 4 coaches I think that LSU's that I would go after, and I think it would probably be the list our AD's looking at. Oklahoma is my number 1 guy, Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm.
As of late, I think the rumors could be true there of trying to get – sorry about that. That was a phone call trying to come in. But Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley, here's why he's my number 1 choice, Jace. He's played in a lot of big games. He's a young guy. He's an offensive genius, but yet he's not he's just lacked a national championship victory, okay? Mm. He's played in the playoffs. He's lost to 3 big people. He's got eliminated by Burrow and LSU.
Yeah, right.
He got eliminated by Georgia the year before.
Yep, Alabama. So he's gotten beat by some giants, okay? And Oklahoma, even when they look bad, they win. Mm-hmm. And his team never folds. His moral, personal background is incredible. He's a great guy. Yep.
I think Lincoln Riley's the best quarterback, the best coach in the country under 50.
Yeah.
My second choice is Clemson. Dabo Swinney, don't rule it out because they're not having a good year. Don't base his ability on 1 bad year. He's been in 4 national championships in 6 years. Mm-hmm. They don't have Watson. They don't have Lawrence. But, they'll still win 8 games, probably 8-4. And they're okay. I think he'll listen. I don't know if he'll take the job. Notre Dame's Coach Kelly, if you want an older coach who's going to get it done, strict guy, dedicated to his work, Kelly might listen. I don't know if they could pull that. Fourth choice to me is Fickle from Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's actually my first choice. So
he's under. I think he's under 45 in age. Not as proven in the many big games.
Yep.
He's kind of like the new kid on the block. He's ranked 2 or 3 now in the country. I don't think it's a home run, the best ever. It's not a guarantee. But I do think he's the most seasoned mid-major that would be a great coach at a big school. And then there's a lot. Then there's everybody else. There's, Mel Tucker. There's Billy Napier. There's Coach Campbell at Iowa State. There's just a
James
lot of
Franklin.
These are all backlist guys, okay?
Right.
And everybody can have fun with it, but LSU can hire a big name. And I threw out the 4 that I like and the 4 that I think they're going to get one of these 4. Mm-hmm. Am I going to be like a know-it-all today, go, this is the one they're going to get? I don't think LSU knows exactly yet who they're getting, but I do know these 4. We'll see which one would take it. And I do believe when you pay $8 to $9 million a year, you can get, and then you have 3 national championships in the last 20 years.
With 3 different coaches.
3 different coaches, 4 national championships as a school. Mm-hmm. You can get one of the great coaches in college football.
Right.
If you're a fan that says, I don't think LSU can hire this guy, that guy, why are you even saying that? Because LSU's one of the top 5 programs in the country.
And we're also in a much different situation than the last time LSU was put in this position a couple years back. You also have a new athletic director. You have
Yeah.
a new. It's a whole different ball game now than it was a couple years ago when they hired Ed Orgeron.
It's a good point, Jace. A lot of people would want to work for Woodward.
Yep.
It is key. Like, a lot of people didn't want to work for Oliva.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he struck out because they didn't want to work for him.
Right.
If Woodward would have been here when they were hiring, Ed probably wouldn't have got hired. Okay.
Yep.
It would have been Jimbo. Jimbo would have came here instead of A&M.
Sure.
Now, the word,
which Woodward hired.
Yeah. But Woodward hired Peterson from Boise State to Washington, and that was a great hire.
Yep.
He knows how to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
He knows. And look,
he's a big game hunter. That's what he is.
If you have drama on your resume, you're not going to get this job. You know, I know Lane Kiffin's been thrown out, but people are having fun with it. Some people are serious about it. Lane Kiffin, you cannot get this job with drama on your resume. Now,
if it was different, if all this stuff was not happening, then LSU could probably, we could take a chance on Lane Kiffin and see what happens. But especially with all this stuff going on.
Not this AD.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No. If you're an LSU fan, do you want a long-term coach or do you want a coach for 2 years or 3 years? I want LSU to get an 8 to 10 year coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you got to look at it.
Yep.
Do you want an 8 to 10 year coach? Then that means you're getting a coach off the field that you want as the coach and on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Character, committed 110%.
Right.
High IQ of the game, can actually run an offense or defense. These 4 guys can do that. Dabo, even though
Dabo is more of a game manager, like a
still
CEO type.
During the game, he's strong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's a strong guy during the game. Kelly's a genius helping during the game.
Now, if you bring Venables along with Sweeney, I'm all for that. You know.
Yeah.
I'm definitely all for that.
None of these 4 are out of the ballpark or out of reach. None of these 4, and these are 4 of the top guys in the whole business. Now, again, if you have any drama on your resume, that's a short-term.
Now, the one thing, Notre Dame, now it hasn't been like off the field stuff, but there's been stuff with Kelly over the years that, you know, the Cincinnati, how the players didn't really respond to him that great when he left. They're actually celebrating when he left, and like there's some things about that.
Well, they did
Kelly.
that at LSU when Saban left here. They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he was too tough." But then after about 2 years, what they say?
Yeah, right.
I wish he wouldn't have left.
Right.
Nobody likes to be pushed too much, and then no one likes not to be pushed. It's kind of a fine line.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yep.
But nobody likes their boss.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know this for a fact. The people that work for Saban, Jace, they couldn't wait for him to leave. But then once he left, like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I wish he would have stayed.
Right.
He was different. He was the best. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I'd rather a guy that you don't necessarily like him, but you respect him.
Right.
That's what you need for this job. You need discipline. You need the culture to change. You need someone that's going to be in this for the long term, that can recruit, that can coach, that can hire coaches.
Mm-hmm.
These 4 can hire coaches. They can coach the game. They can recruit. They can do all of it.
Right.
And if you're a fan, don't look at it just as who can win. That's a short-term coach.
Mm-hmm.
Kiffin, wherever he's been, he doesn't stay anywhere long. He likes to stay on the internet a lot. He likes to Twitter a lot.
Yep.
He's not that. He's not the Woodward.
No,
kind of
he's not my top 4, but I can get why people would want him. But you also have like all the off the field
baggage
stuff, the baggage that comes along with it.
They don't want that now. I mean, that's not what LSU's going toward. And then I think Mel Tucker will be a great coach at a big school, but he's not.
He's not that proven
yet.
It's kind of like he's kind of like in the mold right now with Dave Aranda. Like he hasn't been there long enough to really,
or Napier. Napier hasn't either.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, these guys I think Napier needs a second head job, and to see what he does.
I mean, he's been at UL long enough. It's just I think he needs another challenge to see what he would do.
See how he does, but they're all going to be great one day. But LSU needs a guy ready now, like tomorrow,
right?
To redo this culture and everything that's involved. And I think they're going to get one of the 4 coaches that I mentioned. And people are going to go, I'm shocked. Why are you shocked? They might pay $10 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, money.
Yeah, like the only person or team, whatever, that can outpay LSU. Alabama, and probably the NFL. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, let me throw
this out, because we live in a moment of now. tomorrow's a new day, the next day is a new day, but everybody's stuck on now. But there is only one job opening to compete against LSU, but that is today. That's USC. But I predict in 4 weeks, you're going to have a lot of things change. Miami will probably be open.
Yeah.
If they don't finish good, Miami's going to fire their coach probably.
Yeah.
So Miami's a good job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not LSU right now, but it's a good job. Another opening that can happen if the USC job is taken by the Penn State coach.
Yeah, because I think Franklin leaves for USC.
That's what I do. But then Penn State's open.
Mm-hmm.
So LSU's got to beat all this happening. They got the trickle effect. Once that starts, you're kind of late trying to get the guy.
Right. And so you'd have to really compare to Penn State and Miami. Now, based off those names, you would think LSU would be the number one option.
Still, but
there
are then it starts becoming more options.
It also depends on what the coach really wants. Yeah. That's what that LSU's going after.
Well, James Franklin's from the East Coast. He's a Pennsylvania guy.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to go West Coast more and East Coast as a comfortable where they want to be.
Right.
James Franklin, to me, would be great at USC.
Yeah.
He could recruit East Coast, West Coast.
Right.
He would love the USC job, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good fit for him if he took USC.
The offensive coordinator for Alabama,
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien would probably be an option for Miami, I'm thinking.
Right.
So that's the trickle effect of all this going
and he
down.
was once the head coach at Penn State.
Right, right. He tried to follow Joe Paterno, which was hard, and all those.
And he did a pretty good job considering the circumstances, everything that was going on.
And people forget he was there because of everything that was going on.
Yeah, right. Yep, he was.
And then there's going to be other coaches fired, obviously, but they won't be competing against LSU. Like Arizona will probably be open. They're like 0-7.
Washington State's already open. If y'all haven't heard, yep.
Now that's not. Now that could be a Napier type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go back to the Pac-12 since he was at Arizona State?
Yeah.
And would that happen? Would UCLA's Chip Kelly be an option for USC?
Mm-hmm.
And then would UCLA be?
Oh, UCLA fans would be so mad if they let their rival still let their head coach away.
And if UCLA was open, would they go after Mel Tucker? This is just going to get
or
really
Napier.
crazy. Right. All this could happen like in the next 4 weeks. But LSU's ahead of it. It's a
domino
right now.
effect.
Yeah. But LSU's ahead of it right now. The good thing is that the Texas job's not open.
Yeah.
The Alabama job's not open.
Right. Which would LSU had to deal with in the first place with Texas.
The Georgia
A&M.
job's not open.
Yep.
Those jobs are not open, so that's a good thing for LSU. Now, I will say this, and keep an eye on this, because LSU needs to get their coach if this happens. If Dan Mullen was to lose to Georgia in the cocktail party bowl game this coming week and get embarrassed and then somehow lose to Florida State,
mm-hmm. I don't think he gets fired at the end of this year, but his seat is going to be really hot.
I'm just saying, if for some reason they part ways with Mullen, if he just crashes this year, you don't want that job open.
Yeah, you don't want the Florida job open.
With LSU.
Right.
And look, they're not happy with Mullen right now.
Yeah, understandably so. I mean
LSU,
that's 2 years. Two of LSU's worst teams in the last 20 years defeated the Florida Gators when the Gators were heavily the favorite.
I think Mullen probably, when he's getting his tea or whatever in his house and he sits down and he has a moment, he's like, LSU is
Yep. The last time.
I don't like them.
Yeah, the last time LSU lost to Florida, that was the Hurricane game when Darius Geis went the wrong way. That was the last time. And I don't think Mullen was the head coach then. Or it might have been his first year.
No, it was Mr.
It was McElwain.
McElwain.
McElwain was the head coach then.
And LSU fans are still upset with that game because they were beating Florida the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
That was the interim year for Ed Orgeron.
It was.
And LSU was just destroying Florida on TV, and they let Florida come back. And
that shouldn't have been a win for Florida.
So that was one that LSU should have won.
Yeah.
And that's the game that Fournette sat out.
Right.
And that was a game that people were like, why are you not playing anymore?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the beginning of
was the beginning of this era.
Of sitting out, which I don't agree with. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch topics. We're going to go to high school football. I got a couple of high schools I want to talk about before we talk about the games. A couple of teams I've watched in the state. I'll mention them. Parkway High School in Bossier City, Louisiana. We'll mention them. And another school that I got a chance to watch is Thibodaux. Thibodaux Tigers, man. They look like the LSU Tigers in purple and gold when you watch them play. And then later in the show, we'll talk about Joe Burrow, the Bengals, and we'll talk about all the scores of college football this past week and also in state. We'll be right back. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Jace LeJeune is our co-host today. Before we go into high school scores, Jace, I want to mention Thibodaux High School. I want to mention that Coach Dugas is doing a great job over there and has for many years. He's been there since Greg Robinson came out that went to Auburn. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He coached the Reed kid that went to Auburn, too, the corner, Trevon Reed. Both LSU, I remember, lost those recruits. Les Miles did. Would it have been amazing to see Greg Robinson and Lyle Collins at LSU at the same time?
Well,
they came out the same year.
Yeah, that would have been really scary.
Ed did lose some big time players in the state. Thibodaux is not someone that you want to schedule, Jace, next year.
And I heard they got a pretty good D lineman coming up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they got a guy named Jamion Buxton, who's the real deal.
Yep.
And when I tell you the real deal, he's 6'3", 290. He's a junior. I watched him as a freshman. He was 6'3", 260 then. He runs all of a 4.8 40. He's a high effort kid with God-given talent. He could end up being one of the all-time greats if he continues to work for his senior year. He's missed some games this year. He's number 98.
Yep.
But when I tell you gifted, his feet are like a linebacker, and his effort is off the chart. He's got Devin White kind of stuff as a D lineman.
That is scary.
Jamion Buxton, he's a junior at Thibodaux, and they've got two twin brothers, the Rodrigue brothers, Brayson Rodrigue, and also the quarterback, Ian Rodrigue. They're both 6'1", 6'2". They're juniors, great athletes. They got a lot of young talent. DeMarcus Singleton at running back, who's coming back next year. They've got, Jace, I counted 42 lettermen playing this year coming back. They're going to be over 300 pounds next year. They're a pretty good team. If they can get in the playoffs this year, it's going to be tough. They're not having a great year, but if Coach Chris Dugas can keep this team together, Jace, I wouldn't want to play them next year.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that they sneak into playoffs.
Trouble.
Watch out. Yep. Better make sure you're on your A game.
They are very young, very talented. Parkway in Bossier City, very similar, very young. Probably will have 50 lettermen coming back next year. Not having a great year this year.
Right.
But there's always next year where you're going to be loaded, and then all the other teams are going to be not as good as your team. The Panthers, Jace, return a lot of big-time players for 2022. They do have some sleeper players this year. Ed Moses is a good player at receiver, tight end. Ron Richmond, a running back. They've got a big-time offensive tackle, Malachi White, who's really good. Isaiah Lewis on the O-line. But here's a stat for you for some LSU baseball fans. Their starting receiver, Trenton Lapie, who's a junior, is a baseball commit for LSU. 6'2", 190, throws 92 miles an hour as a pitcher. He is a junior on the football field. Hey, kudos to him because he didn't quit football. He might his senior year like they always do.
Yeah, that's been a trend, but I mean, it's actually helped if you play more than one sport. And that's what high school coaches keep preaching to a lot of kids that, the more sports you play, the merrier.
Arion Burrell, remember this name, a kicker. He's a sophomore. He's already kicking 55-yard field goals.
Wow.
His kickoffs are 7-yard deep in the end zone. He's only a sophomore. He's 6'1". And then they have a sophomore nose guard, B.J. Patterson, who's 6 foot 295. Really good feet, number 99. Devin Hall is a big senior on the O-line. I think it's D1, 6'3", 310. And then they have a junior linebacker, Barrett Newman, that's about 6'1", about 210, that can run. He's only a junior. Again, Parkway and Thibodeau might not be going deep in the playoffs this year, but next year,
watch out next year. Yep.
You don't want to play them.
No.
Let's go ahead and go into high school scores. I know that you're looking around the state. Jace, who do you want to start with today?
Sure. It's something we haven't mentioned when we were talking off the air, but I just want to give a shout out to Cedar Creek because anytime you can beat Oak Grove, that's a big victory. 13-9 was your final score.
And Jace, Oak Grove's young.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Cedar Creek is young.
Yep.
That's big. They're rivals, actually, outside of OCS, Ouachita Christian game. That's big. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I just looked at it, too. So that's a big win for Coach Middleton, who's at Cedar Creek now on this team. Now, this is the big 2A game as far as, like, okay, who's going to challenge Manny for a state championship? This is actually might be one of 2 times we see this game because I can definitely see this game happen in the semis or quarters or, deep in the playoffs. But General Trust, man, if you didn't think that they were real before this game, they're definitely for real because anytime you can beat Mangum, 54-46 is an instant classic between 2 teams that are going to be right there for a state championship this year.
I'm going to tell you, General Trask would love a rematch with Manny in the semis again. Manny won the state championship last year.
Yep.
General Trask lost to him in the semis last year. Mangum's a huge team. General Trask, to me, winning this game, putting up 54 on them, that is a statement. Mangum, like you said, great team. Man, they're huge. They're 5A size.
Yep.
And Trask is really like, they're not huge. They're just super athletic. Got a couple of big guys on the D-line.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, the most athletic small team in the state, meaning 1A or 2A, is General Trask. I mean, they are just – I would not want to play those guys. I mean, we had Coach on, last week. I interviewed him.
Yeah, you did.
But, I mean, you just can't scout and plan for General Trask. Everybody can run. All 22 play. They remind me of the old Kentwood teams.
Yeah, sure, right.
Where even the offensive guard ran a 4.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can say, well, man, that guy's only 190 on the line. Yeah, but he runs a 4.5. Mm-hmm. And he also plays linebacker on the D-line.
Right.
So, I mean, you're playing 22 athletes, and that's hard to defend.
So Salmon defeat, and speaking before I go to that game, going back to Mangum wants to get back to a state championship because they lost to Kinder, and they went to the state championship. So you know that they are looking for a run. So going back to the next game, I was going to say Salmon and Pearl River, which was a big game for the district championship. Salmon, they're actually up there, like way up there in the power rankings right now. They defeated Pearl River, and they're in the driver's seat for a district championship. 26-7 was your final score there.
Yeah, this summer I was really big on Salmon.
Yeah,
I went and watched them practice, and they look like the old Salmon to me back in the late '90s, early 2000s. They're not as deep, but they got some great players. They added a coach. The old Pineville head coach is over there now.
Right, Coach Darren Moore's over there.
Moore's done a great job with their O-line.
Yep.
They've got some, man, they're just intense. They will hit, and they will bring it.
Probably the biggest victory in the Monroe area was Ouachita defeating West Monroe 35-34. Do you know how long it's been for Ouachita fans for this game? It's been since 1994. I wasn't even born yet, or we probably even thought about.
I'm gonna make you feel good. I was on out of high school 5 years. So
35-34. It was a great game.
So the last time they probably beat him, they had Jamie Spencer prior to '94.
Yeah, '94 was the last. Yeah. Those really good Ouachita teams.
Ouachita's got talent. They always do. This is not really this is a big loss for the West Monroe community. This is a big loss. Mm-hmm. But kudos to the Lions of Ouachita. They've got talent, and again, there's always a team I think that would make a deep run every year.
I mean, they're close to being Ruston. They like the same teams, Ruston, West Monroe.
Neville.
Those teams are trying to get over. Neville that played close. They finally got over the hump and got that big victory because they played right with those guys.
Yeah, it's a good one for them, not good for West Monroe.
I didn't mention this one earlier, but East Jefferson was having an undefeated season, and then here comes John Ehret. They beat them by 50-20. But East Jefferson was having themselves a really good year up to this point.
Well, John Ehret's a young team that you don't want to play in the playoffs. They were so young. I watched them week 1, Jace. They look like a JV team. Now they look like a bunch of grown men because they look like grown men as 14-year-olds.
Yeah, right.
But every starter for John Ehret's a freshman just about or a sophomore. But like I said, you let 10 weeks go by, you don't want to play a John Ehret. John Ehret's like Thibodeau, like I mentioned, Parkway. They're going to be a phenomenal team next year, and they're coming on. And East Jefferson, I want to give a shout-out to that coaching staff. I watched them play on film. They are extremely athletic.
Yeah.
And they are well coached.
Yeah, they're having their best season in a while.
This is their best team since
when Salt was the coach.
Formaggio, when he was there a few years ago, and they won a state title. This team believes, and I'm telling you, I told you that they have 5 really good athletes that I think play college ball.
Yep. So the Catholic League has turned out to be pretty unpredictable. So Rummel did lose to Holy Cross a couple weeks ago, and about 2 weeks ago, and then Rummel would have to play St. Augustine, which probably you can say most talented team
shocked
in New Orleans. And Rummel, as young as they are, they beat St. Augustine 24-14.
Another young team. I watched Rummel actually Friday night. I stayed home and watched some film. Rummel's the youngest team in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got freshmen playing on OD line. That never happens. They have I think 70% of their starters are freshmen, and the others are sophomores.
Yep.
And they're growing up. So you can say, they weren't very good 8 weeks ago, but that was 8 weeks ago.
Right.
And then you beat a talented St. Aug. Whoa, okay, that's a statement. So.
And speaking of 2 teams that are going to be in it for that 5A private state championship, both of them made statements. And these are 2 teams. So Catholic defeated Samal. Samal's really
good team. I think Cole Poirier and that offense, they got 4 great receivers.
Nobody's really talking about Cole Poirier, but he deserves to be talked about.
He's we're gonna do a write up on him this week. I think you're gonna
I'll do an interview with him this week.
Cole's 6'4" and has a cannon. He can run 4'6", 4'5'9". He's a baseball guy. They got 4 great. They're big on the O line.
Yep.
Coach's son, 6'7", 240, a tight end.
They got a defensive lineman. That's going to be
Carpenter, who's a junior. He's 6'4", 250. Sandoval, the only thing that slowed him down is losing some game time with the Hurricane.
Yep, and we talked how good Sandoval is. Catholic High beat them by 46. That was a statement.
Yeah, I mean
that's a statement.
When you're NFL good, you're NFL good.
Right. Yep.
I mean, that's your alma mater, but I mean, they're
good.
They're
good. I just was really impressed by how they beat. I wasn't surprised they beat Sandoval, but how they beat Sandoval.
Yeah, Sandoval's a 9-2 team.
Yeah.
You know, 10-1 team. I mean,
second, third round playoff team in 5A.
Possibly a deep run in the playoffs, and you lose by 46.
And then another team I told you made a statement was Brother Martin. They beat Karen Crow 35-6. I thought that was a big statement victory for them.
They were young when I watched them week 2 against East Ascension, Jace. And I was telling you the other day, Mama Hat's the only really senior they got back on the offense with a couple other guys. But their young guys have really matured, and they're dangerous. I still think the Catholic League's a 2-team race in the end, Jesuit and Brother Martin and Curtis because of the coaches.
Sure.
St. Aug is super talented. I don't know what happened there, but, St. Aug can beat anybody any given night.
A fun district game in the Baton Rouge area, and I've seen both these 2 teams play, and both these 2 teams could make a run or, upset somebody in the playoffs, but East Feliciana and Dunham played. And Dunham won. It was a high-scoring shootout, 57-52. I told you about that big receiver East Louisiana has.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah.
And it was back and forth. 57-52 was that score. As far as other scores around, Iowa is still undefeated. Iowa is having a great season. I know Andon wrote a story on 2 of Iowa's underrated seniors. I know they have the Purdue commit, Curtis DeVille, but they have a really good senior class, and Coach Johns has got this team rolling, and they're undefeated. They beat a Westlake team that's having their best season probably ever, really, this year under Coach Richardson, and they won 31-28.
Yeah, Westlake's very well coached.
Yep.
Not a lot of college prospects, but just, he knows what he's doing. He was at Welsh High School and did a great job there. But, the talent level in Lake Charles, the hurricane affected that whole area, the 2 hurricanes.
Yep.
But considering 2 hurricanes, when you look at Lake Charles College Prep, when you look at Barb doing really good considering, St. Louis is doing fair considering.
Yeah, I think Grand Lake is number one in Class 1A.
Grand Lake played in a state title last
Yep.
year. Sulphur's very talented. Iowa is very talented. Leesville's not bad.
No, Leesville's really good.
South and East Beauregard, could sneak in.
Lake Charles Prep.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of talent still there, and considering everything that's happened, it's amazing. And kudos to the families for staying in those areas and continuing to live in Louisiana. Been through a lot.
Let's see here, going through the scoreboard. Got to give a shout-out to E.D. White. They're still undefeated, and everybody's talking about U-High and De La Salle right now, most likely going to be in that championship. But E.D. White's trying to say, hey, don't count us out. They beat Lutcher 28-10, and Lutcher's been rolling. So that's been a very impressive win.
Jace, E.D. White's another young team who's talented. So whatever they do this year, it's lanyap, it's extra. I don't think E.D. White could play with U-High or De La Salle, but, they're top four.
Yeah, they can make things.
But I watched De La Salle the other day, and I told you this. They are the most talented team in that classification. It's not even close. And, look, U-High's very talented.
Oh, yeah. That's most likely going to be the state championship.
But U-High's got a great team.
Mm-hmm.
De La Salle, they look like Brother Martin in 5A.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just huge and athletic, and they got a senior quarterback back, Cole.
Yep.
Milford is a heck of a quarterback.
Right. It shows you what Coach Manali really did building that program, because when he got there first time, they weren't winning. They were a struggling program. I know he's a head coach of Jesuit now, but, man, what he built over there was incredible. I have to give a shout-out to – I know I'm a little biased here, but I'll give a shout-out to my dad in Plaquemine High School. They've struggled the first couple of games this season, and now he's the interim coach, and they beat a really good Liberty team with Caleb Jackson. That's a big win. So a little bias here, but we'll congratulate my dad again, that big victory, 53-34.
That was a huge win.
Yep.
I mean, considering where Plaquemine was a month ago, and Liberty's one of the most talented teams in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And then that makes the kids believe they can beat anybody now, and they can. I mean, I think Liberty on a given day can beat St. Thomas More High School.
Right, yeah.
I mean, if you want to just shake it like that and get real.
Right.
Plaquemine, I always told you, they got players. It's just a matter of them coming together.
Yeah.
The defense looks good, and your dad's done a good job taking over. I know Coach DeStefano's on leave right now.
Yeah, right.
But, it's these guys the players are playing for your dad, and hey, man, they might be like the miracle run here. They might win a playoff game. You never know.
Yeah, they got a big game against St. Michael's, and they're really good.
First,
they're going to have to get in, and they would need to beat St. Michael's too to get up a couple of spots, because if they had to play today, they would play Neville, and that wouldn't go so well.
St. Michael's is pretty good.
But St. Michael's is good. You're going to have to beat them. You're not going to beat themselves.
But now the Plaquemine team will be confident to play the next game.
And speaking of teams that beat St. Thomas More, two of them, Westgate and Turlings, played, and Westgate won 33-26.
I don't remember Westgate ever beating St. Thomas More and Turlings in the same year.
That's incredible.
That is a feat. That should be like a poster in their school.
Yeah.
Coach Antoine has done an incredible job at Westgate. And, Kashawn Butte, by the way, went there. Josh Butte went there.
Yeah, yep.
They had a defensive end play for the Saints from Westgate, who's on the staff.
Sure.
They've had some talent. Jared Mitchell went there.
Right, yep.
Baseball and football. And they have several more recruits coming out of that school. But, again, hats off to what they're doing at Westgate. They are one of the most talented teams in the state.
Not that much more to throw out, but I'll throw like two or three more. Ruston being Alexandria 37-23 was certainly eye raiser.
I watched them in a scrimmage. They didn't play one another in the scrimmage this summer, but they were both in this 6-game parlay, 16 parlay.
Sure.
You don't want to play Ash, as they call it, in the playoffs. Bachman's got that team rolling. But, Ruston, they are starting. They're another young team. I mean, they're a team that lost a lot of talent. And their defense is starting to come on. Kyle Williams is on the staff.
Right.
Steven Insminger's on the staff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well. All-star coaching staff.
Yeah, and I think Ruston's doing a great job. They really, if you look at the last 3 years, in wins and losses, Ruston's as good as anybody in North Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they play everybody that's big time. Neville, West Monroe, Alexandria.
Yep.
I mean, they play the monsters of the Midway. I mean, it's –
Yep, the next step is getting to that state championship, but they've been right there in the quarters and making runs. It's quarters, semis, and
maybe this is the year Ruston does it. And last year I thought was going to be the year. Maybe
me too.
Maybe this will be the year.
Yep.
That if the ball bounces their way, obviously, you're going to start seeing the Rustons, the Acadianas, and the Zacharys duel it out in the later part.
Right.
It's going to be
hands,
those four.
Yeah.
Are going to be.
Sure.
They're going to all have to play one another.
Oh, speaking of Zachary, they had another impressive win over Scotlandville. And you said one of the most talented teams there is in the state, 48-32.
Look, Scotlandville is going to make the playoffs. You don't want to play
You don't want to play Scotlandville.
No. I mean, if they have 15 penalties, you're going to probably beat them. But if they have 5, they just happen to have 5 that night, you're going to get blown off the field.
Right, yep.
And Zachary's coaches – they know that every year they play Scotlandville, it's going to be the game in district that they're going to have to really talent-wise play their game.
Sure.
And so I think Walker and Zachary go at it this week.
Yeah,
and
they certainly do.
I believe Zachary will probably put up 50 points in this game.
Yeah, your alma mater put up 45 against Walker this week. So,
Mahaffey's always got a good offense, but they just don't have a very talented defense.
Yep, and let's see if there's anything else we can throw out before we go to break. I'm going to just throw out some. Southside beat Lafayette 35-16. I think that's a big victory for Southside early on.
Lafayette's very good this year.
Yeah.
And for Southside to win it, Southside's got a lot of talent too. Again, Coach Josh Fontenot does a great job at Southside. For a new school the last 3 years, they look like they've been around for 40 years. I mean, they dress 100 kids. They've got big guys. They got talent. They're starting to put it together. When you beat, I'm going to tell you, Lafayette High this year is a very different Lafayette High. That's an impressive win.
Definitely an impressive win for Coach Fontenot. Impressive win for Coach Lee, being Woodlawn and East Ascension. East Ascension beat Woodlawn 26-20.
Well, those are two
good.
super talented
teams.
And you just throw a coin in there and say, okay, heads or tails, who's going to win this one?
Yeah.
Woodlawn's had a rough year, but they got one of the toughest schedules in the state.
Yep. St. Tammany, this is always a very good competitive game in Mandeville and St. Paul's, and St. Paul's won by 1 point, 21-20. That's a tough game between both those programs, which has been really good over the last 10, 15 years.
They're both very young.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they make the playoffs or what they do. But both of those teams are usually a little bit more experienced at this time of year. But hadn't been a great year. I know Zachary beat St. Paul's early in the year pretty easily. Mandeville's lost a lot of talent. They missed Costa at kicker, obviously, at Ole Miss.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of them on Saturday.
He was on the cover, and people were like, why are you putting a kicker on the cover? And because he's going to start D1 one day.
Yep, start Ole Miss.
Kicked a big long field goal against LSU too Saturday, but they're very much rivals. Or Covington St. Paul's is a big rival in that area.
And one more we talked about, Lake Charles, Sulphur defeated Barb 35-31.
Sulphur's got some talent. Barb's trying to get things back. They lost a lot of kids because of the hurricane. A lot of people moved family-wise. Kudos for both programs to continue playing football with 2 hurricanes a year ago. People don't understand, Jace, how many families they lost that had to move to find places to live. And, just for them to play ball. And Sulphur still dresses about 80 kids.
Yeah.
Barb's getting back players.
Sure.
Some people thought Barb would have 30 kids, but they got about, 50 or 60 now, I believe.
Yeah, they'll be back to full form next year.
Yeah, so they're surviving it. And, kudos again to everybody in Lake Charles.
Yep, but this was week 8, and now you have 2 more weeks of high school football left. Some teams are going to play. This is their last regular season game.
Yeah,
and some other teams they got 2 more weeks, and then after that, playoffs hit.
I'll usually do the playoff show, but I haven't heard from anybody yet.
Right.
I don't know what's going to go on with that. I know that your view is no longer. It's going to take over for Cox Sports.
Cox Sports Television, I believe. Yeah,
October 31st is the last day, I believe. But
yep. Good run for CST.
I'd like to do the show again. I don't know what I don't even know if they're going to do it here on Your View. I don't know.
Well, if we don't, I mean, hopefully we'll
do it.
We'll do it. I'm sure we'll be on video by then. We can probably do the whole
we'll do
show.
Yeah, we might. That might be our grand opening for video. Is our playoff show.
Yeah, I agree. That'll be a good one to do.
So I might not do theirs. I might do mine.
There you go. We'll do it some other way.
We're gonna take a break. We got about 5 minutes left in the show. Come back. Let's talk NFL. And I want to talk about Elijah Mitchell from ERAF, who starts now for the 49ers, played at UL, Raging Cajuns. We'll be right back. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company, located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Co-host today, Jace LeJeune, our editor, Louisiana Football Magazine. Go to our website. Check us out, lafootballmagazine.com for stories and to get the magazine. Getting into the pros, I did watch the Bengals, Jace, play.
Yep, they're impressive.
Beating the Ravens on the road, and the Ravens were 5-1. Very impressive. Harbaugh is one of the best defensive coaches in the league, and Burrow threw for 416 yards in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
He didn't even throw a pass the final 10 minutes of the game.
No, I was not surprised the Bengals won, but I was really surprised how they played and won.
Yeah, well, the defense shut down Lamar Jackson is the shocker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lamar always, if you're up by 10 late in the game, he's going to come back.
Yeah.
He's going to run for like 90 yards and carry 12 people.
Yep.
It didn't happen. Cincinnati boxed him in. Hendrickson from the Saints looks like an all-pro.
Yeah, he looked good. Him and Hubbard on the other side looked pretty good.
Whoever the pro personnel director is over there, it kicked butt getting the free agents. I mean, they nailed it.
Yeah.
And whoever said don't draft Jamar Chase, I was also one that said come back to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a little pro-college. But Jamar Chase has 201 yards receiving at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, everybody was saying that him skipping a year would
I was one of them. I admit it.
Would mess him up a little bit, and he'd take a step back. But
I'm just an old college guy. I want people to at least play 3 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He didn't even get 3 years in, and I know.
Right.
Look, Jamar was on our TV show when he was in high school at Archbishop Rummel. Him
He's
and
a
his
good
dad,
kid.
great people,
great guy.
I hated to see him leave after 2 years really playing ball at LSU.
And I think, and looking back at it, I think he would have played, but with the COVID stuff too, I think that made a big difference. Looking back on it, I think he would have, because he wants to play. He's one of those guys. He's a competitor. He wants to play. I think he would have played. It wasn't for a lot of the COVID stuff going on.
They don't only have him, but they got 2 great tight ends in Cincinnati. They got Boyd from Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And they've
T.
got
Higgins.
T. Higgins from Clemson.
Joe Mixon's a running back, and he's really good.
He's kind of strange with his stats. So, he might go 20 rushes for 30 yards and then break a 50-yarder late in the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I guess all that matters is
big
runs on third
the closer.
Down.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But Joe Burrow looks like he's dominating the NFL.
He does not look like a second. Really, you can still technically call him a rookie quarterback because he hasn't played a full 17 games yet. And he doesn't look like that. He was like a 5-6 year veteran out there.
But you know what he looks like to me right now? He looks like a guy that just said, okay, I've caught up to the speed of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've conquered it.
Yeah, right.
Like most second-year guys still struggle for the speed of the game. He is now locked in, and that's scary.
Oh, yes.
And his teammates now look at him like Joe Montana or Brady. They look at him like, man, we got Joe.
Like, I would put him in, the elite quarterbacks. You're talking about Brady, Rodgers,
and then
Mahomes. I would start.
Joe.
He's definitely rising up to that level.
I think he could be 4.
Mm-hmm.
I say Stafford's 4.
Stafford's having a really good year.
I'd say Burrow. I'd put him at 5, and I'd take the kid from the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, Herbert,
and I'll put him 6.
Kyler Murray's having a really good year.
Kyler just I don't know, 5'9". He's doing great, but I'm talking about just the long term.
You're telling me, okay, 2 minutes, you have the football left, you're down by 3. Who you want as your quarterback? He's on that.
5.
He's on that level.
I just worry he runs too much for a long career.
Yeah,
you cannot continue to run, and when you're small and you can't run anymore, you're going to lose that added advantage you have Because as you get older, you're not going to be able to run.
Right. It's the same thing for Lamar. I mean, Lamar's just going to have
It's going to eventually evolve because
I've seen him develop a little bit more. He wants to stay in the pocket a little bit more. I've seen Lamar.
And Joe needs to not run as much. He's not doing that now because I think he took the advice of Aaron Rodgers.
Ryan Rodgers said slide.
You want to play 15 years?
Yep, slide.
Slide down, just like Brady, just like
and
Peyton Manning.
And Rodgers does that. Like Rodgers slides. Russell Wilson. I'm surprised he got hurt early this season.
I'm gonna tell you who the smartest running quarterback ever was Steve McNair.
Yeah,
Steve McNair, when he ran, not only was he 6'3", 230 and ran a 4.5, but he would stiff arm you to go out of bounds. So when you got out of bounds, he would actually knock you down like a linebacker, or he would slide, and nobody wanted to hit him anyway because he was like tackling granite rock.
Yeah.
But you got to, like I said, if you slide and you use your stiff arm outs to get out of bounds, you're not going to get hurt. Brady, he's always going to get rid of that ball before you get to him.
That's why
Peyton did the same thing.
Yep.
You don't see that with Tannehill, who I like with Tennessee. I don't know how he's still in the league running as much as he does at 33 years old.
Right. Well, I know he's going to rely a little bit more on Derrick Henry. Give him the football 30 times.
I'm going to tell you what.
Wow.
I'm 51 years old, and I never thought I'd see the day where I'd watch a 6'3", 255-pound running back run a 4.4.
Yeah, I thought, I'll raise my hand and admit, I thought he would be a bust. I thought he would be a bust in the NFL, but was I wrong.
What do you do if you're in a defensive day for game planning, and let's just say you're the corner and you're 5'10", 190, and the defensive coach says, okay, we have Tennessee next week. When Derek goes left, then you're going to have to tackle him. Now, how does a 5'10", 190 corner you know what? You go for the. You
just
foot.
lay down, go for the foot. If you try to tackle up high, he is going to stiff arm you 30 yards.
You're done for the year. You're going to be on injured reserve. I mean, this guy's granite rock.
Yeah.
With 4.4 speed, he's 255 pounds, 6'3".
Yeah, he's a freak of nature. That's what he is. It's incredible watching him play.
He gets better with more carries.
Yep. Yep.
Him and Richardson in Alabama and Najee Harris were unstoppable.
Yeah.
And that was about 8 of the 10 years that Nick had all these great seasons, and I keep saying it. You give Nick a phenomenal dominant running back, you can't win. This year I don't think they have that, but they got a great team.
Yeah. They have a good running back. They don't have a
Robinson.
He's a good running back.
He'll be an NFL second guy.
He's a
Darrell Williams.
He's like a TJ Yeldon. He's kind of that on those.
Remember Darrell Williams at LSU?
Yeah.
He's got a little power, got a little speed, got a great O-line.
Yeah. He wouldn't surprise me if he will have a long career in the NFL.
Yeah, like a Darrell Williams.
Yeah, sure.
Be the second guy to somebody.
But he's not going to just dominate. No. He's not going to dominate a game.
Not a Mark Ingram, like Alabama. Ingram, Najee Harris.
Sure.
Derrick Henry.
The Trent Richardson version, college version.
Right, right.
So.
But look, we're going to end the show. We got an hour in on the show. Any final thoughts, Jace? One other thing we said we would mention. Let's do it.
From the colleges.
I want to mention go Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I love Pittsburgh. I was a Steelers fan, still am. I'm also a Pittsburgh College fan because of Dan Marino and Bill Fralick.
They have another good quarterback at Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Pickett's an NFL guy.
Pickett's
He's a first-round pick, man. I see a lot of Burrow in him.
Yeah, Pickett's good.
Pittsburgh has got a chance to win the ACC. Now, obviously, they might have to play Clemson again in the championship game.
Yeah, or
ACC.
Let's see, who's in the ACC right now? Wake Forest is undefeated still.
But it'd be great to see Pitt finally win the conference championship. Kansas gave Oklahoma a game for 3.5 quarters.
They did, and Kansas told everybody, "Hey, just come into the stadium. I don't care. You just come
free
in.
Tickets.
Free tickets. Just come in and fill up the stadium." I thought that was pretty unique.
UTSA beat Tech. UT San Antonio. They're rolling.
Yeah, they are.
Navy gave Cincinnati a game for about 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, the top 4 teams, like Cincinnati was tested early on, and then like you said, Oklahoma was tested against Kansas. But you have to win. They found ways. And that's what good teams do when they're having their off game, their bad game. They find ways to win, and both of them did.
3 last scores, I want to say. Southeastern beat Northwestern State handily.
Yeah. Yep.
Another big day for Cole Kelly.
Yeah, but it looks like he's going to win 2 in a row for the Walter Payton Player of the Year. It's certainly
the Heisman Trophy of 1AA.
Yeah, he could have won 2 in a row.
Southern lost in a game, Prairie View A&M.
Yeah.
Big game. I got to mention this. kudos to my boy Terry Bowden and ULM.
Yes.
Beating South Alabama. And you're like, oh, South Alabama. Well, look, South Alabama's got way more talent than ULM.
Yeah.
Liberty's,
they hung right there with ULL.
Yeah, Liberty's got more talent than ULM. ULM is just shocking the you-know-what out of me.
If I had to vote for Coach of the Year in college football, it would go Terry Bowden.
Well,
he would be my vote.
I'm doing consulting for them in recruiting. I did for this past year and this year. They don't have, I'd say 50% of the team is walk-ons.
Yeah, right.
Coach Rodriguez, I don't know how long they'll hold on to him, but he's there. Coach West is a great coach. They got a great staff. Tony Hull's there now.
Tony Hull's there, yep.
He's recruiting New Orleans. I've got to say, I'm helping them in recruiting, giving them information. They make the choices, but I'm giving them a lot of names and guys that we're watching. Actually going to update another list for them in the state. But
yeah, they didn't win a game last year. They've won 4. They won 4 already.
I'm going to tell you what, ULM's coming to LSU's Tiger Stadium.
Everybody's saying it's going to be an automatic win.
I don't know.
Well, remember, LSU probably had a better team in 2017 and lost to Troy than this team.
And Okie State lost to Iowa State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State lost. This was a weird week because a lot of the ranked teams were actually underdogs, and Iowa State was the favorite in that game.
Gundy can't go ever 11-1 or 12-0. He just somehow can't.
I wish he did that 2011 year because LSU would have another national championship.
Yeah, if they would have been undefeated, not a loss, you're right, it wouldn't have been Alabama LSU would have been playing.
Yep.
Final thing to mention, I want to say I'm so proud of our running back Mitchell from ERAF High School being a 6th-round draft pick out of UL of Lafayette, Raging Cajuns. Elijah Mitchell.
Yep.
Had a chance to see Elijah play in person a couple of times, Jace, at ERAF. I thought he was a big-time back, way back, and he's the starter now for the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to tell you, he looked really good last night, had like 60 yards in the first quarter.
Yeah,
and a touchdown.
Had 100 yards, over 100 yards rushing.
He's 6 foot tall. He's about 220. He's got good feet. He's not stiff in the hips. He's pretty fluid. He's going to have a long career in the NFL. And he was a 6th-round draft pick. Came out the same year as Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Etienne, Travis Etienne.
Yeah. Yep.
And UL took him. Obviously, that wasn't a Napier signee.
Right.
That was
Hudspeth was still there.
Signee,
yeah.
And they took him. And obviously, he was great through 2020 for UL. Him and Trey Regis, who's also in the NFL.
Yeah,
Archbishop Shaw.
Right, with the Raiders.
So just for a little trivia, 3 running backs from UL in the NFL. The 3rd running back,
Calais, right?
Calais is in the NFL with the Rams.
Yeah, Raymond Calais.
All 3 running backs signed in that class.
And they're all from Louisiana.
All from Louisiana, from UL, same recruiting class, all in the NFL. How about that?
That's amazing. Yep. That's pretty incredible. And then actually one of the linemen who my dad coach, Dotson, he's starting for the Steelers.
Yeah, Kevin Dotson.
Yeah, Kevin Dotson. Starting for the Steelers right now.
Plaquemines got some talent, man.
Yeah.
Davin Gottschall's doing good with the Patriots, did good with the Dolphins.
Right.
I mean, you had Brian Mitchell come out of Plaquemines.
Sure.
You've got the starting center, Delphine is starting Tech.
Starting Tech.
He might be an NFL guy, too.
Yep. Percy Butler's starting
He'll
for
be in the NFL.
Raging Cajuns, too. Yep.
Outside linebacker. And then you've
Southeastern's got like 5 of them right now playing.
Mitchell's doing good at Southeastern.
Nelson Jenkins had a sack this week. Yep. For Southeastern.
I'm glad because, sometimes a change might help a kid, and he's a mature, older now. And, maybe Orgeron made a mistake. A lot of guys left LSU during Orgeron's reign. If you look at the recruiting classes for Orgeron, he had all these top 5 classes, but half the classes left
not
the college.
Right.
And this kid's one of them. He's 6'3", about 310. He's a big kid.
Yep.
Still got 2 years left, right? A couple
years.
Yeah,
he's starring for Southeastern. You have Colin Scott still starring for he was from Plaquemine.
Yeah.
Herman Kristoff is starring at linebacker. Austin Mitchell starring at receiver. It's I joke with Coach Self all the time. It's like Plaquemine University at Southeastern.
Plaquemine Hammond.
Yeah, Plaquemine Hammond over there. So yep.
They'll be coming back to Plaquemine for a few of these guys on the team now. They've got a handful.
Yeah,
right now.
their linebacker, Plaquemine's linebacker this year is really good.
Number 13,
Colby Dennis. He's really good.
He's playing everywhere for him.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a junior, 223 guy, runs 4.6, about 6'1", 215.
Yep.
Very athletic. I think he's SEC good, and they got some linemen that are under the radar, some under the radar
got some
DBs.
good-looking players for sure.
We're going to end the show. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Wednesday, I'm going to have the head coach from Livonia, Joshua Laborde, an interview with Livonia High School. We'll talk about his players.
Yep.
Friday, we'll see what happens, and I also am excited to go speak to Lutcher Quarterback Club. Tomorrow, the best food in America at Lutcher High School.
They got some good food.
And they got one of the biggest quarterback clubs in the state. Always Lutcher, over 200 people attends it.
Lutcher takes their high school football, really seriously.
And I got to be up on my game, man, when I speak, because everybody there they know all this stuff about football. So y'all got to really be on top of things.
Yeah, very knowledgeable fan base. And then one more thing I want to throw out. A big game tonight for the Saints. They come back on Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. We'll see what
Jameis Winston shows
does. If is it the good Jameis Winston or is it the bad Jameis Winston?
Is it the Tampa Bay Jameis Winston the first 3 years, or is it Tampa Bay the last 2 years of Tampa Bay?
Right.
Will the defense bail them out again? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, they have an opportunity. They're playing against a backup quarterback in Geno Smith. So we'll see what happens.
Quan Alexander be back?
I'm not sure. I know that Taysom Hill's not going to be back, and I think Deontay Harris isn't playing either for the Saints. But I haven't heard from about Quan.
And Thomas, our receiver, has been out all year.
Right. The
stud receiver of the team in the NFL. They need to get him back too. Michael Thomas has been out all year. So it's, when they get Michael Thomas back, I think then we might see a different offense.
Yeah, I believe that Quan is coming back from injured reserve. So Quan and Marcus Davenport.
Quan Alexander's from Oxford, Alabama, and had a great career at LSU. Him and Deion Jones were quite a tandem. And Kendall Beckwith.
Yep.
That was a great linebacking core over the last – they didn't all play at the same time, but they were kind of intertwined a year together at LSU. And Damon Clark will be the next NFL linebacker.
Yeah.
That will be – I'll project right now, before we end the show, I'll project if he times 4.5 like I think he will.
That's a great combine.
At 6'3", 245, and now the way he's freely running after people, I think he'll be a second-round pick in the NFL. He'll be a diamond in the rough that you just can't find a lot of 250-pound linebackers.
He's playing the position that he was supposed to play. I think I think last year he was playing out of position that really hurt him, playing in the inside.
He's got free reign now to read and run.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the way he chases quarterbacks down, I mean, it's like a DB.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 245-pound linebacker, 6'3". And Damon, when he tests, he's a 4.0 student in college.
Yeah, I've always been very impressed with him. He was on a TV show, and I just thought he was very impressive.
4.0 GPA, Jace?
Yeah, no way this guy right here is
so he's going to have the cleanest resume of any college football player, of high character, the
great
physical
guy.
presence, and then a phenomenal senior year. He might lead the nation in tackles at season's end. Right now he leads the nation in tackles.
Yeah, that's not what a lot of people realize. But
no, they don't even understand that right now.
But he's having a great year. If you don't know football, I mean, it's like
quit getting mad at the players.
Right.
Southern Lab Kittens graduate out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Watched him play 4 years.
Hey, those kittens showed up in the Florida win. I mean, with TDP, what he was able to do, running the football, and then Damon Clark had the game-winning interception in that Florida game.
The thing about Southern Lab High School, when you get a football player, you get a great student too.
Yep.
So I would recruit Southern Lab every year and sign somebody.
Yeah.
Because they're always going to be great student athletes when they come out of there. We'll go ahead. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.